Hello and welcome back to another episode of Come Back Stronger by Fasig Brooks. I am Dana Brooks and I'm joined today with my law partner Carrie Rome. Now usually we have a little bald man sitting in this chair who is conspicuously missing from this episode of Come Back Stronger, which was his original brainchild. So why is Jimmy not here and you are here today, Carrie?
Well, I mean, you know, I am more fun and cuter, so that's a good reason.
And you have infinitely longer
got good
locks.
hair.
Tell everybody what's so exciting about this show.
So Jimmy's not here today because I had the pleasure of interviewing Jimmy for our show.
Yeah, he's our guest.
Jimmy has one of the most interesting, fascinating, really revealing comeback stories of most anybody I've ever interviewed before.
Yeah.
And he just has this passion and this zest for life that I love and I cling on to, and he owns his mistakes and he owns his own personal tragedies. And he's just so into sharing his comeback story so he can help people really live through their mistakes and come back to be successful. And I just love that about him.
Yeah, he's a unique individual. There's only one of him.
Yeah.
You're not going to find another Jimmy Fasig out there. But I have always told people, I said, this is what I love about him. First of all, just being in his orbit and feeding off of his energy makes me better.
Yeah.
He keeps me between the ditches. He keeps me a little calmer because Jimmy Fasig can control his emotions and honestly, I think his biology and his biochemistry by his mind. I mean, Jimmy just decides he's having a good day and you cannot get in the way of him. If he's having a good day, come at him, bring him everything. You're not going to touch him because he's in his head with it. And he's so disciplined and he is so, like you said, he's effusive with it though.
Yeah.
It's not enough for him to have his best life. He's not happy until you are having your best life. And he's never met a stranger. And if you've ever had a problem, you've got a friend in him.
And he's not hiding anything.
No.
He's not hiding his faults. He's not hiding his mistakes. He's allowing people to learn from his mistakes, which you have to admire and love about him. I think Jimmy is very misunderstood by people.
Yeah.
They see one side of him, but they don't understand every side of him.
Yeah.
He's incredibly positive and optimistic, and he just bleeds that into everything, and you can't help but be optimistic because of him.
Yeah, and he's not Pollyanna. I mean, he's not coming out of a place of just pure fantasy and not realizing that there are real problems in the world. He's not. He's had real problems.
Yeah.
You're going to learn about that in the first of the two segments coming up. But I love that he makes mistakes, but he doesn't make them again, and he learns the lesson from them. So I cannot wait to come back and start our first segment of the interview with Jimmy. We'll be right back after this. I like that people who don't have the money to pay for lawyers, they can come to a contingency fee lawyer, someone like us who only gets paid when we recover for them, and they can go toe-to-toe with giants.
You are actually just coming to us, not paying us anything, and if we're successful in getting you money, we get paid. And the more money we get for you, the more money we get. So our interests are totally aligned.
And it's a wonderful system because otherwise, how many people can afford to go hire a lawyer by the hour just so they can have their day in court? Right. That would be almost no one. That would mean justice is only available in America to rich people otherwise. But the contingency fee agreement allows everybody to go in on equal footing. It levels the playing field. But to me, it's saying we're equal. Okay, just because you have all those resources behind you doesn't mean I have to take whatever you give me. I've got a lawyer that I can afford who can stand up to you on the same playing field, equal ground in front of a judge, and I will get treated the same way those big corporations will be treated. And we're back. I'm so excited. We're going to have the first peeling back of the layer of Jimmy Fasig right now. Take a look.
All right, Jimmy, this is the moment I've been waiting for, my interview with you.
I'm so excited.
My boss, my friend, my partner.
Yes.
So you have a really good comeback story. You, when you were in law school, you became a drug dealer, you wound up going to prison, and then you turned your entire life around, and now you're one of the most powerful, most successful lawyers and businessmen in Tallahassee, and I would argue all of North Florida.
Yes.
So I want to talk about your journey through that process and what it was like to be at the bottom and now what it's like to be at the top and how you got there and everything in between.
Okay, sounds great.
Sounds
great.
So when you were in law school, you're like me, you're on track to be a lawyer, work at a firm, all that stuff. What got you off that track and into the world of dealing drugs? Like, why did you make that decision?
Okay, so that's an interesting story. I was a very conservative, play by the book, play by the rules kind of guy all through my first year of law school. And then in my second year of law school, I had fallen in love with a woman who had gone to study abroad during my second year. So I had a summer love with her. After the summer, she went to study abroad, and so I decided I was going to go visit her. She was studying in Germany, and I decided to go visit her, and we were going to meet in Amsterdam.
No. Uh-oh.
So I meet her in Amsterdam, and we were going to stay there one night and then go to Germany the next day.
Yeah.
But we went out that night to a club, and when we sat down at the club and we started to have a drink, a French guy sat next to us. He was very suave and debonair, and he said,
It's
"Hey,
always the
would you?"
French.
Yes. "Hey, would you like to try ecstasy?" And so I looked at my girlfriend, and she was like, I could tell that she wanted to, and I had never tried anything like that before. And so we did it. We took a pill and we split it in half, and we both ate the ecstasy, and that just changed. It changed me.
Really?
That moment literally changed me, and we ended up staying in Amsterdam the entire spring break week instead of going to Germany, and we ended up taking ecstasy basically every day.
Wow.
And so by the time I was done with spring break of my second year of law school, when I came back to the United States, I couldn't care less about law school.
See, that's the thing. It only takes one time.
Yeah.
That's what I tell my kids. It only
Yes.
takes one time. So how did you go from that? So obviously that week changed your mentality.
100%.
Changed your focus.
Law school was the last thing I cared
Wow.
about. All I wanted to do was find that high that I experienced in Amsterdam.
Interesting.
Yes.
Would you say that you're an addict or you became an addict?
I would absolutely 100%, because it consumed my thoughts.
So then what
I
happened
became
after
obsessed.
that? How did you wind up becoming, a dealer and making all this money and wind
Yeah.
up going to prison?
So I came back and I started searching for opportunities to buy ecstasy pills here in the United States. But what I found out was that the ecstasy here wasn't very good quality, or maybe I had developed a resistance to it, but it was chasing that high, but I could never find it. So I ended up trying different types of drugs, cocaine, LSD, mushrooms, that kind of thing. And so eventually I started hanging out with a group of people that did that kind of thing, and I needed money to support the habit. And so I started selling some basically cocaine,
That's
8 balls
such a-
and 8 balls of cocaine and just to make some money. And then next thing you know, this all happened so fast. It was like a whirlwind.
Yeah, it's such a fast
Oh,
downfall.
Yes, it was such a whirlwind. Next thing you know, I'm going back and forth to Miami, and I'm bringing up kilos of cocaine from Miami up to Tallahassee, breaking them up into ounces and selling them off
Did you
to my
just
friends.
think you would never get caught, like you were too smart to get caught, or what?
Well, yes.
Yeah, I guess
Yes.
everybody does until you get caught.
I thought that I was super smart. I thought it was cute that I would walk around with a briefcase, my law school briefcase. I didn't take it on campus, but with cocaine in it, and I thought that was
gosh.
funny. But it was, at the end of the day, I was just, my mentality was clouded. My thoughts were clouded by the desire to pursue that high.
You had to have really been miserable inside.
I
think.
was.
So how did you wind up getting arrested and going to prison?
Okay, well, that's a good story too. It's fascinating because law school after I ended up finishing my second year of law school just out of pure momentum, because spring break is pretty close to the end of the semester, and so up until spring break, I was a great student. I was top of my class. Not the top, but I was top 18% of my class in my first year, and I was still top 18%. I was headed towards actually improving that after my first semester of my second year.
Yeah.
But then, and so I was almost ready for my exams by the time spring break was over anyway. So I ended up finishing the second year, and then I didn't even register for my third year.
Oh my gosh.
Didn't even register. I had no plans to go back to law school.
Wow.
I was going to be a drug dealer and eventually open up a bar, and I had totally shifted my whole mentality.
Wow.
Yes, and so anyway, it just so happened that right before in law school you have to finish within 4 years at Florida State. It's a 3-year program, but if you don't finish by 4 years, you're done. And so right before registration was over for the very last opportunity for the 4th year of law school, that's when I got busted.
Yeah.
Right in the nick of time. And it turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me.
How long did you go to prison for?
2.5 years.
And when you were in prison, what were you thinking? Were you like, I'm going to get out and I'm going to go right back into the drug trade, or I'm going to rehabilitate myself and go back to law school?
Oh, no. Thank God. I went to Vince Barrett, who was the partner of Eubanks and Barrett at the time, where I had been a law clerk, and I talked to him, and he said, you still have a chance to be a lawyer. And in my mind, I was like, I'm done. There's no chance I could. And he said, you have a chance. And when I realized that, I talked to a person from the Florida bar. I talked to another lawyer that represents people like myself, and I realized it was possible. So then I started right then on the track to coming back stronger,
That's
to
awesome.
becoming a lawyer. That was what I wanted to be.
That's really interesting. So when we come back, I want to talk about what the second half of your story is like and how you overcame your challenges to be who you are today.
Thank you. Can't wait.
You know, we're really familiar with Jimmy's story, of course, being his partners and close friends. But, you know, he wrote a book, Come Back Strong. When life knocks you down, come back stronger. And he gets a little bit more into detail in that book about how really bad it was to be living for the high and living for that drug use. And he talks about one time when he was in Cancun, stepping out on the balcony and thinking, as beautiful as this place is, I should probably just jump off because the world will be better without me in it. Yeah. So when you think about that version of Jimmy and the one we have, it's a pretty profound change. So we'll be right back for more after this. When you come into my firm, you see a lot of faces that look like yours. You see a lot of people that had the same problem before they got to work. You know, a lot of people who left kids with mismatched shoes and a lunch bag, you screaming, you know, just because you had an appointment you had to make. You know, we get you. We get you.
You have to go to a lawyer that will understand your story as a woman. Because women have different stories than men do, and that's just a fact of life. And if you're a woman that's been injured, either through a slip and fall or a trip and fall in an auto accident, you have to go to a lawyer that's going to understand what your daily existence was like before, what it's like now, what the injury means to your entire family, and what you need to do to come back and be where you were before, and even come back and be stronger than where you were before. They just need to have the courage to pick up the phone, because we are going to take the burden of this accident or you being hurt off of your shoulders. We're going to put it on our shoulders, so you don't have to worry about it. Exactly. You can worry about everything else in your life, but not this accident. We're going to worry about that for you.
And we are back, Carrie, for the second half of your fantastic interview with Jimmy Fasig. Let's hear more.
So that's a very interesting story, and it sounds like you owe a lot to Vince, who kind of guided you through the way.
Yes.
So what happened when you got out of prison? What did you do?
Well, I think maybe more important is what happened while I was in prison.
Okay, that's a good question. Yeah, what happened?
Because what I did in prison, with some guidance of people like Vince and other people that I had talked to, is I spent that 2.5 years improving who I was as a human being.
How'd you do that?
I read every self-help book you could possibly imagine.
Okay.
Everything literally anything on the shelf. My mom would send me books. I read Think and Grow Rich at least 100 times. I read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Everything you can think of, I read it all, because I'm trying to become the type of man that I knew I could become. I knew I had it in me.
That's awesome.
Yes, and so I used that time, and not only did I read a bunch, I wrote down my goals. I wrote down my goals over and over, and I wanted to be a lawyer. Within 5 years, I wanted to be a lawyer, a partner in a law firm, own my own house, have perfect credit, and own a silver convertible Mercedes SL 500. I had written down goals, and I focused on them, and I visualized them, and I learned Spanish.
Yeah.
I'm fluent in Spanish now because of my prison experience.
What was the hardest part about being in prison?
The hardest part was, it's extremely lonely. It's extremely lonely. The food's terrible.
Yeah.
And I was really scared.
Yeah.
I was scared that I was never going to get a job again, that I would never be a lawyer, that no woman would ever love me, that I'd be ostracized when I got out, and I'd be stuck in a menial job. So it was just scary.
You know, it's interesting. I interviewed Maggie Cook for this show, and Maggie was also down really deep in her life. And it's so fascinating to me to see people's strength when you're at your worst.
Yeah.
And it's so admirable that you had so much strength to focus on getting better as opposed to focusing on wallowing in the mud. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like you didn't feel sorry for yourself. You just tried to dig deep and find that strength, which I think is really neat.
I appreciate that. I mean, I don't want it to seem like I didn't feel sorry for myself,
Yeah.
because there were a lot of those moments and a lot of tears, even though I didn't let the other prisoners see me crying. It was very gut-wrenching, sad, time. But I did. I am really, really proud of myself that I did dig down deep, and I found the inner strength and the purpose and the vision to come out and come back and become what I had always dreamed of becoming.
So you got out of prison and you went back to law school?
I know. I actually, this is fascinating. I am convinced the universe paves a way. If you really have a deep, deep desire for something, and I also am convinced you get second chances, because in this case, I got busted right before the deadline for registering. So I didn't have a choice. What else am I going to do? I went ahead and registered for classes. And then the federal judge, was wise enough, and he had enough vision to be able to, he basically let me stay out. He sentenced me, or actually he delayed my sentencing until after I graduated. So he allowed me to stay out of prison until after I graduated. So I graduated from law school, and literally a week from then, I turned myself into federal prison.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you came out of prison, and what happened?
That is when I got to work.
Right.
Because I've been writing down the goals, I've been visualizing, and this is the key. I knew what I wanted. I want to be a lawyer and a partner of a law firm. I had a master goal. I am the partner of a law firm by December 31st, 2005. And so I started right then. Vince gave me a job, $10 an hour.
Paralegal.
As a paralegal.
Yeah.
And so I started busting my tail, and I worked day and night. Sometimes I would go to work at 3:30 in the morning, and I would leave at midnight at night. And I worked myself up to become the head paralegal. And I knew in order to become a partner in the firm, not only did I have to get my bar license, that was on the table. I had to prove to the Florida bar that I was rehabilitated.
Yeah.
So I started building the evidence to do that by calling in every day to a call center where I had to get a urinalysis test if my number come up. I joined groups. I developed friendships and relationships with people to testify on my behalf. But with regards to the work, I worked myself up to become head paralegal, and I made myself indispensable.
Yeah.
I made sure that Vince and Silas, who were the partners at the time, I made sure that I made their life as easy as possible. Yeah, they're lawyers, so they have to do the lawyer work, but I did everything else that you can possibly do other than the lawyer work so that they had it as easy as possible. So by the time 5 years later, when I did get accepted to the Florida bar, I don't think that they could really imagine themselves not having me around.
Right.
And they immediately offered me a partnership.
And then so now you're the senior partner in the firm, the majority shareholder.
Yes.
You're married with children.
Yes.
You've got 3 little girls.
Yes, I am in love
And
with my 3 little girls.
You're at the place now in your life where you always dreamed that you would be.
Yes, ma'am.
So what are the biggest challenges that you still face? Because you're a convicted felon, but yet you're also one of the most successful business owners in town. So you still have challenges that you face today.
I do.
What are those, and how do you overcome those now?
Well, the truth is, the biggest challenge that I have now is this deep hunger to try to help other people who are going through challenges, and I'm trying to help them come back stronger. So not only our clients, which they're going through the most challenging time of their lives.
That's right.
And so they need to know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
That's right.
But I'm out there for anybody that needs my help, and I'm trying to encourage people and say, listen, no matter what you've been through, no matter how many challenges or obstacles or failures or setbacks that you've had, today is the day to start wiser and stronger and to finish the end of your story triumphantly instead of as a tragedy. Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then, so you're also doing that through a Come Back Stronger Facebook group page.
Yes.
Which I think has been really successful and interesting to watch as well.
Yes. Thank you so much. I love that page, and we got a bunch of people on the page, and we're really we're trying to grow the group, but it's an opportunity for people that want to set goals and meet challenges to do that and to hang out with like-minded people.
One of the things I think you said, which was the most poignant and which resonates with me, is you provide this service for all of our personal injury clients.
Yes.
So we have a lot of clients that are in a bad accident or have experienced a wrongful death in their family, and they're at their lowest point.
Yes.
And I think one of the great things that you always impart to us as lawyers is to be their partner through this journey.
Yes.
When they're down, be down with them, help them get up, and then help them come back at the end of the day stronger than they were before.
That's the whole goal. That's why it's our tagline. Come back stronger.
Yeah, I love it.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Jimmy. I love this.
Thank you, Carrie. It was so awesome.
What a great interview.
Yeah.
And you feed off of his energy, don't you?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What I love about him and what I respect about Jimmy is his honesty.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, how many of us can really say that we are that honest with ourselves to own our mistakes and blast them out there so other people can learn from them?
Yeah, and what a great role model he is for his daughters.
Yeah.
You know, because whenever this was all coming out, I was concerned. I said, you know, kids could be very cruel, and you know, you got a lot, and that's putting it on little girls struggling with everything else going on. But they have raised some very strong, very community-minded, high self-esteem having little girls, and they are very proud of their daddy, and they should be. I'm very proud to have Jimmy as my law partner. So we'll come back right after this and wrap up. This is the most rewarding job. I tell people, anybody knows about me in my past, I was a social worker, and I loved the spirit of the job. I loved the mission, but I felt like I couldn't do as much for them as I wanted to do. You meet your client where they are. You know, you meet them where they are, not where you want them to be, not where you want them to get it together and come into your lovely office and act appropriately. You know, sometimes I have to go to your house so you can be real, so you can show me, so you can break down. I don't mind doing that. That's part of the process. But the more I can do that, the more you do feel better. And like, you can be somebody who can go into any office at any time and maintain your composure, because you were able to be as vulnerable as you needed to be with somebody that you needed to trust to get you through this. And once I do that and I get them on the other side of it, it finally occurs to them, it's like a light bulb goes off. It finally occurs to them that Dana didn't do this. I did this. I got myself here. And we're back. Yeah, you know, Carrie, Jimmy spent a lot of time, and you two explored just the power of addiction and just what Jimmy was willing to go through. I mean, for most of us, law school is a dream, and we work really hard to get there. And the thought that once you have it, you would just not even register because you found something that's turning you on more than the thought of your success and your ability to help other people with that professional degree. What are your thoughts? I mean, I know we all have clients who suffer with and struggle with it, or people that are close to them do, but man, the power of chasing that high.
Yeah, it is. It's very destructive. I've got some very close family members who are addicts, and I hope that they watch this, because I want them to take away from this that you don't have to spend the rest of your life as an addict. You can channel all that energy that you're using into chasing that high into something good. It's the same thing. You're just chasing something good instead of chasing something that's toxic for you.
Yeah. You can tell Jimmy gets a lot out of helping people.
Oh yeah.
You know, so I mean, maybe that's a different kind of high, I don't know, but he walks around on air all the time, and he's so excited. You know, we always talk about these comeback strong stories, that there's always a catalyst or somebody who believed in you when you didn't really deserve it. And he mentioned a federal judge here, and he's just a beloved, cherished man in our community, but he saw something in Jimmy, and he wouldn't let Jimmy give up on himself. And so letting him stay out, letting him finish that year. But here's the good thing about that. That judge remembers Jimmy.
Yeah.
That judge remembers that favor, or that, you know, I don't know, lenience. I would just say the kindness and the just general humanity he showed for Jimmy and giving him that chance, because Jimmy gets the opportunity now to represent people who are pro bono in prison needing legal representation, or when they come out. This judge calls on him and he reminds them, you know, you need to give back, and Jimmy does that willingly. But he went to Lake Butler, not terribly terribly long ago and spoke to the inmates there. He has a prison ministry. He reaches out to people. If anybody is struggling with re-entering society or the pure unbridled fear of entering a correctional system, reach out to Jimmy. He makes himself available. He's a resource. Call him. Contact him, email him.
I would say the same thing with people who are suffering from addiction.
Yeah.
That they can probably call Jimmy, and he has some guidance, and he has some things to offer with respect to how to overcome addiction.
Yeah, and it has come back stronger Facebook group, because we have, you and I are loving the Empower Plant. That's a Facebook group that Fasig Brooks brings you. We also have Come Back Stronger. And Jimmy gets up, every 5 o'clock every day, he does a Goal Crushers video, Facebook Live. He does a meeting 8 o'clock every day. He'll go on and he'll give you some insightful words for the day, some inspiration. He lives this. I mean, truly lives this, and he helps so many people by doing it. I mean, it's almost, it could just write itself at this point, the energy he's put out into the world and how it keeps coming back to us. Every day we're hearing from somebody.
Well, he asks nothing in return for it. This is all just him giving. That's all it is him giving and trying to help legitimately without expecting anything in return.
Now the expectation is that, pay it forward. If someone's helped you, just remember, once you make it, there's, you need to turn around and look and see who needs some help. That's what I ask, when we help women through our efforts. I just say, just remember, once you make it, you need to look back behind you and see who needs a little bit of help and pull them up along with you too. And Jimmy walks his talk and does that every day. I think I've talked about his book. He put this into a soul-bearing book. Some of the things he puts in there, I'm just like, oh my gosh.
He's exposing himself. He's exposing a lot.
He's put himself out there, but that's leadership.
Yeah.
That's fearlessness, and that's leadership.
And it's humility. And how admirable is that humility in him? You don't see that in a lot of people. And like I said earlier, I think a lot of people have a misimpression of him.
They do.
Or they misunderstand him, or they want to misunderstand him.
Yeah.
But you have to admire and respect humility in somebody like that.
Well, he's one of a kind.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
you're just, a lot of people are skeptical. They're like, is he really, is he really that kind? Is he really that concerned with other people? Or is all this, to get cases and to get people to call you instead of your competitors? Find out for yourself.
You don't find many lawyers like that. You find a lot of lawyers who bang their fist on the desk, and Jimmy doesn't do that. He just gives it himself. Not at Fasig Brooks. Yep.
Thanks for watching, and you guys check us out on the Facebook groups and check us out at FasigBrooks.com. Thanks for watching. I like that people who don't have the money to pay for lawyers, they can come to a contingency fee lawyer, someone like us who only gets paid when we recover for them, and they can go toe-to-toe with giants.
You are actually just coming to us, not paying us anything, and if we're successful in getting you money, we get paid. And the more money we get for you, the more money we get. So our interests are totally aligned.
And it's a wonderful system, because otherwise, how many people can afford to go hire a lawyer by the hour just so they can have their day in court? Right. That would be almost no one. That would mean justice is only available in America to rich people otherwise. But the contingency fee agreement allows everybody to go in on equal footing. It levels the playing field. But to me, it's saying we're equal. Okay, just because you have all those resources behind you doesn't mean I have to take whatever you give me. I've got a lawyer that I can afford who can stand up to you on the same playing field, equal ground in front of a judge, and I will get treated the same way those big corporations will be treated.